workshop. We are here with Sade Ndya, a cinematographer, a DP, an icon, an artist, a creator. And before we got started on our little podcast today, I was like, maybe you could help us out with... what the f*** are we doing? So I have a Canon G7X. What lighting do you think? Do I have umbrella lights?
Oh, you do?
I do have umbrella lighting.
Okay, nice.
We can
do
make
they do color?
No.
Does this have a little remote, or is it just this?
That's just that.
Changes color though, right?
No.
This could be a little ground key.
I can make that happen. Should I do 2 umbrellas or 1 umbrella?
Savage was the first lighting brand I had when I had a home studio.
We did it, guys. Well, what do you use now? What's better?
Now I don't own any personal lights. I don't shoot at home as much as I used to, but I had a production company in my living room type of thing for a while. We were shooting editorial, music videos.
That's so
that.
cool.
But literally Savage was like the first, I bought them off of Amazon. I was just shooting at home.
Okay, camera settings. What is best frames per second or what?
So we should put you at 23.98.
What was that mean?
So
what was that?
It's basically the frame rate closest to real time.
You are in a menu that I don't believe I have encountered.
The center button.
Center.
Frame rate. Right. So 23.98 is real time, right?
Okay.
What was
But
it
if you
before?
want to do a dramatic, this is in 60 frames. That's like if you want to do a dramatic
Oh.
slow motion portrait. That might be cute. You do a dramatic intro.
I
do
guess.
a little hair flip.
And this framing we like, we think is good.
Sit in for me.
Okay, what's up, guys?
That's cute.
When you have a cinematographer on, so you have to ask. Can you please cinematographer me?
Because if we're facing each other, your light look good. I'm like, my light gotta look good.
We're gonna make you look hella good.
You honestly have all the tools you need for a podcast.
Oh, thank you. That's what we want to hear. Damn, this is gonna be the best looking episode yet. What happened? You really upgraded.
Production value.
Literally. I actually got a cinematographer. It's kind of crazy. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I need to show Awea who's been doing all these things this whole time. Awea is our lovely associate producer friend who got Sade here. We're so excited about it, and we need to have Awea actually on for an episode. I can't believe I haven't. I'm so sorry. We need to do that. Get ready, it's the new edition. Your favorite morning meditation. Hey, it's me, part in my success. I'm a hot mess. Part in my success. Part in my success. Part in my success. Part in my UPMS. Sade Ndya, welcome to Pardon My Success.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
This is so exciting to have you here. Sade is an incredible cinematographer, DP, creative. She just set up our entire studio for us. It looks so much better than usual, which thank you very much. I really appreciate you, especially figuring out the frame rate for this camera, which
That is major.
Major.
We all would have been in slow motion.
Literally
if
the
not,
whole
like-
time. So I'm glad we finally got there. And this is what it takes, a real cinematographer. But can you walk us through how you kind of got started in creativity and filmmaking and where you see yourself going?
Oh, damn, that's the bigger questions. I love it. My journey as an image maker started off really pure, with pure intent of like archiving my family's history. There are many artists within my family, and so we didn't have a lot of like documented photographs or video of our family history and lineage, and so I became that designated family member that was archiving all of these big family moments. And we had like these really pure moments of coming together every Christmas holiday to make what we would call like a Christmas music video. And so it'd be like me and my cousins directing our aunties and uncles to learn the lyrics to like Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, and they're like dancing and we're putting on a whole production and everything. And those like moments of just pure joy and happiness on film was like such a big part of my roots and I guess film history. And so like I kept diving deep into that, like how can I push that further, and I started making documentaries about my community and my friends. And then I was like, let me do this film school thing. And I tried that, and that was a whole story in itself, but that's really what got me on the path to film in the first place.
I love it. How old were you when you first started like making these films?
I was young. I was like 14, 15.
Wow.
I had like a little Canon T3i. That was like my first. So Canon doing this thing. Sponsor her.
Sponsor, please, for the love of God.
But my first camera was the Canon T3i, and that was the camera that I took with me everywhere. I grew up traveling a lot. Like I grew up in Belize a little bit, and so I was like documenting a lot of my life out there too. So I have like a lot of just different chapters of my life that was documented on this small camera.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from San Diego originally, but my mom is from South Africa. My dad is from Belize. And so they met in San Diego, and then, first gen. And then we went to Belize, and that's like where I lived for a big part of my life.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And how is that international experience really played into your filmmaking?
I feel like it's everything I know, honestly. I feel like it taught me humility, and it drove me to tell stories in the first place, because growing up in a third world country where everyone's living below their means. Most of the occupations out there in Belize, people become like fishermen or tour guides or things that are just very practical. Like art was never an option. And when I came to America for like a better education, a better life, I like brought those like true roots with me. It's just like culture shock too. Like you come to America, people don't say good morning, good afternoon. There's no like decorum in the Caribbean. Everyone's just very like about manners and tradition and honoring your elders. And so like even with my own personal practice on set or just how I navigate different relationships in America too, I try to bring my Caribbean roots to that as well.
Oh, I love that. Well, and Soñadora, the short film that you did with Filmmaking grad.
Yeah, you saw it.
You love Lena Waithe and Hillman grad and everything that was going on there. Such a beautiful film.
Yes,
and all of the Caribbean background in that. How did you kind of get involved in that project? What was it like being on set with that? With the roots?
Yeah, with the roots.
The roots.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of those film projects where it's like, I was literally telling my story on screen. It's about this young Caribbean woman who leaves her whole family behind to pursue her dream of dance. But I have a different art form, but still similar themes. In the arts, yeah. And so it was one of those things where when I first read the script, I just had that instant connection and I prepared this fancy pitch and everything. And I was like so nervous to pitch to the director. And she was like excited to just have me on board. So it was like one of those things where I was like, I prepared this whole pitch and she was like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, do you want me to do this? Like it was like a Spider-Man meme moment, but it was like very in sync, which was really wholesome. We just fell into collaboration so easily. We were just like riffing off of each other. The director, Stacy, is like a really great friend of mine from the experience too. And I feel like that's what makes filmmaking so fun and inspiring is like you meet lifelong friends and collaborators that you're going to want to keep revisiting worlds with like later down the line type of thing.
Absolutely. One question I had after watching it, do you think she made the audition?
Yeah. I think she did. I feel like the unk that gave her the key, that was like a big future making moment where it's like, oh, there's one person who is seeing her live in her practice and her truth and wants to push her forward. The whole commentary with that character and the key is like, it always takes like that one person to push you forward, to root for you, even when you feel like everything isn't going in your favor. We wanted to make sure the film ended on that gleam of hope because I feel like it's important to leave audiences with that feeling of hope.
Exactly. I finished it. I was like, wow, that was so beautiful. Like, she can practice. And then I went, hold up. How's she going to get to the audition?
How's she going to get this?
Hold on just a second. But no, I love that. I think that's absolutely true because being given the opportunity to even practice then, you know, gives her more hope and more ability and more confidence to go out and do that audition just like you should. Another short film of yours, Unbraided, which is absolutely incredible, which I saw at the premiere of the Walk-In Film Festival.
Oh, what? Okay, dope.
Which was hilarious.
I was so bummed I missed that event. Oh my, it looked so great.
Which it's so funny. We could have met there and that's wild. But no, literally I was like filming content that whole day. I loved that film. So beautiful.
That was a fun one.
Funny. Literally while I was watching it, I was like, this must have been so hard to shoot. Like there were so many cuts and so many just like intuitive moments that it's like nothing is being said. It's like literally just like a glance and it's everything. How was that? How did you do that?
I love it. I mean, that was a quick one. We like had one location that we were flipping into so many different worlds and looks. And so the director, Caroline, she just had it all on the page. It was just like a really relatable script where, you know, when your braider cancel on you last minute, you got a big event, you don't want to hear that "hey boo" text. And so like it was just like a reality that I feel like so many Black women have gone through. I feel like that influenced the filmmaking style too. A lot of it was us just being intuitive in the moment. Like sometimes we would plan something and it didn't go the way we wanted, so we're like, how can we pivot and still make it feel real to the Black woman's experience? And so like I feel like that helped us feel really grounded through the process. That was a fun one for sure. I mean, a lot of like fun Steadicam movement on that, which was exciting.
It was so beautiful. If you haven't seen it, you should absolutely go watch it. It's a hoot. It's a hoot. And then Monique Coleman just showing up.
No, that was iconic actually, because I was like such a High School Musical stan as a kid.
You know who else has been on this podcast?
Who?
Corbin Bleu.
Oh, dope! Yo, heartthrob.
Heartthrob. We love Chad. No, but
it was like everybody's. My crush from High School Musical was old boy that was making the pastry. The pastry.
Yo, he wanted to be a pastry chef, and we support him in his creme brulee dreams.
Creme brulee,
that creme brulee man.
He was a fave, actually.
He was an icon. Wait, that's
but so like funny. High School Musical was a big shift. So like even I told her, I was like, yo, you shift so much of like Black women's identity too. Like we didn't get many Black women characters in these films on Disney Channel. Like so she was like such a big inspo. So to see that full circle was crazy.
Yeah. What was it like working with her?
She was a professional because we only had her for a certain amount of time, but she came in, delivered. She's so good at improv. Like there's a moment where she like sniffs the sage, and then she sniffs her hair, and no one told her to do that. Like, she just added that,
just sniffing,
riffing off of the moment. Like, I feel like she's a really great comedic actress in that way, where she's like, oh, how can I push it deeper, and that like push the director to like dive deeper as well.
No, that's so cool. Well, you've worked with a lot of huge names, including like Keke Palmer, Lil Nas, like, oh my god, Issa Rae. What has all of that been like? How did we get there? Does it change on set having a bigger name?
Well, yeah, I feel like there's more stakes when you're working with celebrity talent, but I feel like, I guess through and through, like throughout all those experiences, I feel like people just really resonated with the fact that there were Black and brown people behind the camera. Like, they're so used to like working with predominantly white male older crews, and so like when I pull up on a set with my Black crew and we're all like hella swaggy on set too, they're just like, wait, hold on, they have to do a double take because they're not used to it. But I think it's important for us to like show up and take up space in that way, because it shows them what to ask of from crews as well. And I feel like a lot of Black women talent specifically now are actively like, oh, we really want a Black woman DP or a woman DP on this. Like, Issa's really big on that, is like advocating for any campaign or collaboration she does to have representation behind the camera. And like Keke's the same way too, and that's like how our names kind of circulate. And I think it's important for like talent to be intentional in that way, because ultimately we're creating the imagery of these people, and that shifts like how the public media sees them, sees ourselves, views Black women. It's like a whole deeper level practice.
Oh, absolutely. Especially within the entertainment industry, where everyone's like, oh, they're pushing all of this like diversity and DEI on us. And I'm like, okay, problem.
Right.
The reason why it's bad is because people are pushing front-facing DEI, but have no actual diversity behind the camera in casting, like with cinematography, with writers, with any of that. So then you're writing an entirely white version of events and then being like, let's cast 5 Black people here and make it happen.
Like,
and
what are we doing?
What was this?
That's why I've been so inspired by the show Forever that just came out, because it's like all Black department heads in leading roles, which is like major for a TV show. And I think you feel it in the story, if you guys haven't watched it, but you feel it in the storyline and the connection between the characters, and just the intentionality behind showcasing like Black culture in 2 different ways. One girl, she's like from South LA, like more so growing up in the hood, and then there's a young Black man that grew up in like Ladera Heights, which is like upper middle class Black family. It shows how they both have their own struggles, and there's no right or wrong way of like pursuing life, essentially. So like that contrast, to have a show like that right now is like really big as well for the culture. Like, stuff like that is so important.
Yeah, 100%. And how would you say that your experience as a Black woman in the industry has changed or altered since you've been working here?
I feel like in the beginning, I mean, I still feel this now. Like, I felt like I had to prove myself a lot. And I feel like now that I've made a little bit, I mean, I'm still razzing up, but now that I've made a little bit of a name for myself, I feel like people really honor and respect my input when I walk onto a job or when I make certain creative calls. But it definitely took like years of building that up, and I still feel like I'm building that up when I'm working with people who aren't familiar with my work. And so it definitely is this practice of feeling like you have to always deliver and go the extra mile, especially with Black women navigating these larger spaces. Like, reputation is everything. And so like I really try to, even if it is a small job that's just like quick one and done, I try to bring my all so that I leave the crew and like the production and the talent with a good impression of like how Black filmmakers can actually be about the work and like put in their full efforts. And so I feel like that's a big part of my practice and what I encourage my crews to move with as well, because right now we're in a time where we don't even get that much production happening in LA, and so like every job you have to make count, big or small. And I've been really trying to move with that intention between jobs right now.
No, that's beautiful. And do you have any advice to any other young women of color who are trying to come into the industry?
Just go out and shoot, do the damn thing. I'm not gonna tell you go shoot on your iPhone or whatever, but people be doing that.
You can,
but you should just go out and shoot and like find your voice. I feel like honor those moments where you're establishing your visual language and building your look and building your sensibilities as an artist and finding your influences, because that play period dictates the rest of your career. I'm still in that period right now, but I'm gonna miss that when it's gone. So it's like, have fun and move with excitement and figure out like what stories you're trying to tell at the end of the day as well.
Amazing. And who would you say some influences of yours are?
I have so many. I don't really geek out over talent, which is funny. I geek out more over like photographers, cinematographers, image makers. Kira Kelly, she was the first Black woman in the ASC. She was like such a big inspiration. One, just watching her work, but I've been able to like have her support me as a mentor. She called me this morning too, actually. She's been such an important guiding light within my career, because she showed all Black women DPs, that we could be doing it too at the highest level. She has like a new Monkey Paw film coming out.
Oh my gosh.
It's about a football player. We were talking about some of the stuff on that this morning, but she's like been such a great light. Bradford Young has been a really big inspiration of mine. I haven't met him yet. I feel like it's gonna happen at the right time, but just his work. I always look at the work first. He's been such a big inspiration in terms of style, like leaning into the deeper shadows, learning to like experiment with capturing talking heads in like a different way, and just experimenting. A lot of the influences that I look up to, it's like the folks who like learn all the rules to break them. I feel like I resonate with that kind of work the most.
No, absolutely. You have to know the rules in order to break them.
Can't skip the step though.
I'd be trying to skip stuff. Obviously, I'm impatient as heck. I've had a podcast for a year and a half and didn't know how to set my camera. But, you know, we are all working towards that.
But you're still going out and doing it. You're consistent. That's all that matters.
We're trying our best. Oh, no, but that's amazing. I love that. And can you walk us through maybe your process when it comes to if like you are taking on a cinematography project or starting one of your own?
That's like honestly my favorite part about the process is the prep. Like a lot of directors, I feel like they resonate with like my initial pitch for a film, because I do the whole fancy deck, and not many DPs do that, but I do like a whole deck breaking down like the overall look of the film that I envision, like the lens curation, the camera curation. Sometimes I set like framing cues for certain characters, like little things like that kind of help me shine through and have helped me rise up in a way. Like I've pitched on jobs where people are like, oh, I don't know if you're gonna get it, we got a lot of big name DPs up for this, and then I ended up getting the job because I had such a clear vision for where I saw the project going. And so I feel like that's like a good reference for like even upcoming DPs, is just to like move with your best and strongest efforts forward, because that will help you shine. Because there are DPs who navigate these spaces and they just kind of show up and they expect like just their resume to get them the job, but they don't put too much intent behind curating a look for the specific project. So like I think that's like a good practice, like hopping between jobs, just like developing the look of a film, of a show, is like what I really resonate with too, because it's like really world building and just getting into the mind of like key characters.
Well, I know that you have like a very specific kind of vibe to your filmmaking. How do you kind of pair that when it comes to working with other people's creative visions?
Yeah, that I am navigating that still, I feel like, because my work is very stylized, but I think I'm learning to adapt to different directors and workflows. I think ultimately like I just try to keep a consistent element of like magical realism within my work, if it's subtle, if it's dramatic. I feel like certain directors are ready to push that. Some directors want to keep it more muted in reality, and I feel like that's always like a good challenge for me as a DP. I'm able to experiment between different genres. Like Unbraided was so different than Soñadora. Two very different worlds and like two very different workflows within the directors as well. So I feel like as a DP I just have to be able to pivot and navigate personalities, and I feel like that always comes like in the initial conversations with the director. I've learned the hard way to ask questions before, so you know what you're getting into, the workflow that you're getting into, but also coming up with solutions. I feel like directors really appreciate when like DPs are just moving with creative solutions, not trying to make more problems on their plate. Like how are you coming in and solving or adding to the look of a project as well?
Absolutely. It's so funny because I feel like so many times you go on sets and you can really tell who's, I don't want to say a bad DP but
not bad DP.
A less experienced. I think where it's like 90% of the time that you're on set is spent waiting for them to figure out what they want to do. And you're like, how did we not have these conversations beforehand? We did not figure this out. We didn't write this down. But no, I love that you come prepared. You have that deck. Preparation is everything. It is key. And how did you kind of learn how to do that and knowing exactly what you wanted to explain vision wise?
Trial and error, baby. I definitely messed up in my first few early days. I started like a production company when I was like in college. That's crazy. We were talking about this earlier. Like I had these same brand Savage Lights. It was like a living room. It wasn't even anything fancy, but I would pull gear from the school I was going to at the time, and I would shoot like editorial shoots. I shot like a music video in there. So cool. Literally, that's how I built up my style, and like I learned how to run a business. What are invoices? What are contracts? What are deal memos? What are payment terms? How to negotiate? How to delegate to a crew? All those little things that help that space. It was called the Red Futon at the time because I had like, this red couch.
That's so cute.
Sometimes people will be like, oh, Sade, I remember when you were running the Red Futon. I'm like, how do y'all know from all the way back?
The Red Futon.
That was like just a good open canvas for me and my friends to just experiment and like come up together. And I feel like those lessons that I learned through that experience in running a business helps me as a freelancer later in my career. Now I have an agent and people negotiate my terms and all that. But now I know like how to push them or like what to ask for or like what to be aware of. You know what I mean? I feel like that backstory and those roots were like very important so that I know how to like navigate the industry.
100%. What was maybe a big learning moment that you had to have?
There was a moment. This was when I was in college. I was very young. I didn't fully know like what navigating the industry as a cinematographer even looked like. Yeah. So like little things, like I was still figuring out my visual language, how to present myself, how to have conversations with XYZ big names. And so like I was up for like this mentorship program with a cinematographer that I really like literally would not be here without this person's work. My professor had asked me to like prepare some materials to send out to him and write a letter and all of these things. And at the time I just wasn't ready. I didn't even fully know like what I was trying to say as an artist at the time. I was just like very young for this experience. When I was navigating that situation, I ended up like not preparing the best materials. And then the mentor wrote me this whole letter that really just like dragged me. Like she wrote me a whole letter that dragged me saying like, this is what you need to be focused on. This is what you need to do with your career. Da, da, da. And at the time I was like, wow, I'm really young to be experiencing this. I didn't know. I didn't come from a family of artists. Didn't even think I would make it into film school. I'm pulling out loans to go to this school. I'm still paying off this. But it's like,
aren't we all?
it was a very different time in my life, but I think it really taught me like what to like pay attention to, how to move forward after that. Like that letter has been such a big reference for me as I've navigated my career. But like I can look at that letter and I could confidently say now like none of those things are true, which is like, okay, that's a little bit of a flex, but it's like definitely it's also like you need to make sure that you're ready for certain situations and experiences. I feel like I came up really fast. And so there are often times where I'm like trying to slow down, you know, like just trying to take in every moment and be proud of the wins that I've made, but also make sure that I'm ready for some of these bigger rooms and larger spaces. It's a dog eat dog world. I feel like sometimes people throw you in it just to see if you'll float, you know, like it sometimes people won't really fully support you to enter these spaces. So like us internally and even within community, like we need to like support each other for us all to like rise up to the next step in that way.
Absolutely. I completely agree. That is what we're all about here on PMS is just bringing artists up and being able to tell everyone that you can do it too and that you should get out there and we believe in you and we are going to support you even if maybe the industry won't. So, do you have any other last words of advice or encouragement or anything to the people?
Just community, like taking all of this, like even the fact that you're creating this platform for artists to share their work and get put onto each other's work is so important. I feel like a lot of us moved to LA. I don't know if you're from
I'm not from LA.
Oh yeah, a lot of us moved to LA to pursue the dream of art, and so like take in as much as you can and like put yourself out there and meet people and apply to these programs. Like the Film Independent program that I'm in right now has been such a great resource to expanding my filmmaking community. I feel like always find ways to just expand your community. I feel like that will ultimately rise you up.
So true. Yeah. Words of advice and encouragement from Sade Ndya, an icon, a legend, all of her own. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been such a pleasure. You are the best. Go follow her, follow us, all of that jazz. Thank you. Bye. Are you PMSing?